Before we begin, I need to make something very clear. Everything you're about to hear is general information only. It is not personal financial advice. Your situation is unique. Your needs are unique. Always speak with a licensed financial advisor before making any decisions about your retirement income. Now, let's begin. If you're listening to this right now, I'm guessing you've been lying awake at night. You've been staring at the ceiling. You've been doing the maths in your head over and over again. Will the money last? What if I live to 90? What if I live to 100? What if inflation keeps climbing? What if the share market crashes the day after I retire? You're not alone. These fears are real, they're valid, and they're exactly what thousands of Australians just like you are feeling right now. Here's the thing. You've worked hard for 40 years, maybe more. You've paid your taxes, you've saved what you could, you've done everything you were supposed to do. And now you're standing at the edge of retirement, and someone's telling you that you need to choose between something called an annuity and something called an account-based pension. And maybe you're thinking, what on earth is the difference? Why does this have to be so complicated? I want you to take a deep breath, because today we're going to unpack this together, slowly, clearly, in plain language. By the end of our time together, you're going to understand exactly what these products are, how they work, and most importantly, which one might be right for you. You deserve to enjoy your retirement. You deserve to sleep soundly at night. You deserve to know that your money is working for you, not the other way around. So let's start at the beginning. Let me take you back in time, back to when your parents retired. Back to the 1970s and 80s. Do you remember what retirement looked like then? Most people worked for one company their entire lives. They got a gold watch at the farewell party, and then they received a pension from their employer, a guaranteed payment, every fortnight, for life. They knew exactly what was coming in. They could plan. They could relax. That system was called a defined benefit pension, and it was beautiful in its simplicity. The employer carried all the risk. The retiree just enjoyed the reward. But then things changed. By the late 80s and early 90s, employers started to realize these pensions were expensive, very expensive. They were promises that lasted decades, and companies didn't want to carry that burden anymore. So the government introduced something new, superannuation as we know it today. The superannuation guarantee came into effect in July 1992. Suddenly, the responsibility shifted. It shifted from the employer to you. Now you had your own superannuation account. You watched it grow over the years, but when retirement came, you had to figure out how to turn that lump sum into an income stream. And that's where we are today. Most Australians retiring now don't have a defined benefit pension. They have a superannuation balance. Could be $200,000, could be $500,000, could be $1 million. Whatever the number, the question is the same. How do I make this last? Now, here's where the Australian economic conditions come into play. In the early 2000s, interest rates were relatively high. You could put money in the bank and get 5 or 6%. That made retirement planning a bit easier. But over the past decade, we've seen interest rates fall to historic lows. The Reserve Bank dropped rates again and again. Yes, they've gone back up in recent years as inflation returned, but the landscape has changed. We've been through a pandemic. We've seen supply chain shocks. We've seen inflation hit levels we haven't experienced in decades. Energy costs have soared. Grocery bills have climbed. And if you're on the verge of retirement, you're watching all of this and thinking, how on earth do I plan for this? This is the context we're living in. This is why understanding your retirement income options has never been more important, because the old rules don't apply anymore. The world your parents retired into is not the world you're retiring into. So let's talk about the two main tools available to you, annuities and account-based pensions. Let's start with annuities. What is an annuity? In the simplest terms, an annuity is a contract with a life insurance company. You give them a lump sum of your money. In return, they promise to pay you a regular income. That income could be for a fixed term, say 10 or 20 years, or it could be for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Think of it like this. You're essentially buying a personal pension. You're recreating what your parents might have had with their employer. You hand over a portion of your super, and in exchange, you get certainty. You know exactly how much money is coming in, every month, every year, for as long as the annuity runs. There are different types of annuities available in Australia. The most common is a lifetime annuity. This pays you an income for as long as you live. If you live to 105, the payments keep coming. The insurance company takes on the longevity risk. That's the risk that you'll live longer than your money would have lasted. Then there are fixed-term annuities. These run for a set period, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. The income stops at the end of the term. These can be useful if you want guaranteed income to bridge a gap, maybe until you reach pension age, or until another income source kicks in. Now, within annuities, you also have choices about whether the income is fixed or indexed. A fixed annuity pays you the same dollar amount every year. Simple, predictable. But there's a catch: inflation. If your annuity pays you $40,000 a year today, it will still pay you $40,000 a year in 10 years. But what will $40,000 buy you in 10 years? Probably a lot less than it buys you today. That's the inflation risk. To combat this, you can choose an indexed annuity. With this option, your payment increases each year, usually in line with the Consumer Price Index. So if inflation runs at 3%, your payment goes up by 3%. This protects your purchasing power. But here's the trade-off. Because the insurance company is promising to increase your payments, your starting payment will be lower, sometimes significantly lower. You're paying for that inflation protection up front. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have $300,000 to invest. A fixed annuity might pay you around $20,000 per year, but an indexed annuity might only pay you $15,000 in the first year. Over time, that indexed payment grows. By year 10, it might overtake the fixed payment. By year 20, it's well ahead. But in those early years, you're getting less cash in hand. So you need to think about your needs. Do you need more money now, or are you more worried about money in 20 years? There's also something called a reversionary option. This means if you pass away, the payments continue to your spouse. This gives you both security. But again, it costs. An annuity with a reversionary option will pay you less than one without. Everything in finance is a trade-off. One more thing about annuities. In Australia, they receive favorable treatment when it comes to the age pension assets test. The way Centrelink assesses annuities can actually help you qualify for a part-age pension or a larger part-age pension than you would with other investments. Specifically, if you purchase a lifetime annuity or a long-term annuity, only 60% of the purchase price is counted as an asset for the first 5 years. After that, only 30% is counted. This is a significant benefit. It's called the asset test exemption, and it can make a real difference if you're close to the age pension threshold. So that's annuities: certainty, predictability, protection from running out of money. But as you can probably tell, they come with limitations. You give up control of that lump sum. You can't access it for emergencies. You can't leave it to your kids if you die early. And if the insurance company sets the payments based on interest rates at the time you buy, and interest rates then go up, you're stuck with the lower rate. Now let's talk about the other option, the account-based pension. This is far and away the most popular choice for Australian retirees, and for good reason. It offers flexibility. An account-based pension, sometimes called an allocated pension, is simply a superannuation account that you've converted into pension phase. You keep your super in your own name. It stays invested in whatever mix of assets you choose: shares, bonds, property, cash, whatever your super fund offers. And then you draw down a regular income from it. You decide how much, within certain limits. The government sets minimum drawdown rates. These rates are based on your age. For example, if you're aged 65 to 74, the minimum drawdown is currently 5% of your account balance per year. If you're 75 to 79, it's 6%. The older you get, the higher the minimum percentage. The idea is that you gradually use up your super over your retirement. But here's the key. You can draw more than the minimum. If you want to take out 8% or 10% or even 20%, you can. It's your money. You control it. You can adjust your drawdown each year based on how the account is performing and what you need. And here's one of the biggest benefits. Earnings inside an account-based pension are tax-free. That's right, zero tax on investment earnings. If your super fund makes money from dividends, interest, or capital gains, you don't pay tax on it while it's in pension phase. This is a huge advantage. It means your money can grow faster. It compounds faster. Over a 20 or 30-year retirement, this tax benefit can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more. Another benefit is access. If you need a lump sum for an emergency, you can take it out. New car, medical expenses, help the grandkids with a house deposit, the money is there. It's liquid. This gives you peace of mind. Life is unpredictable. Having access to capital matters. And if you pass away, whatever's left in your account-based pension goes to your beneficiaries, your spouse, your kids, whoever you've nominated. It doesn't disappear. This is very different to an annuity, where if you die without a reversionary option, the insurance company keeps the remaining funds. But of course, flexibility comes with responsibility and with risk. The biggest risk with an account-based pension is longevity risk. If you live a long time and your investments don't perform well, you could run out of money. If you're drawing 5% per year, but your investments are only earning 3%, your balance is shrinking. If the share market has a bad year, your balance drops. And if you're drawing income from a falling balance, that accelerates the decline. It's called sequencing risk. The order in which your returns happen matters. A big market crash in your first few years of retirement can have a lasting impact. Let me illustrate this with some numbers. Imagine you retire with $500,000 in your account-based pension. You draw out $25,000 per year. That's 5%. If your investments earn an average of 6% per year, your money will last a long time, probably well into your 90s. But what if the share market crashes 20% in your first year? Now your balance is down to $400,000. You still need $25,000 to live on. That's now over 6% of your balance. You're drawing down faster. Your capital is eroding. Even if the market recovers, you've sold units at a low price. You've locked in losses. This is the danger. Bad returns early in retirement can be devastating. So with an account-based pension, you need to be careful. You need to monitor your balance. You need to adjust your spending if markets are down. You need to have a strategy. Some people keep a few years' worth of living expenses in cash inside their pension. That way, if markets fall, they can draw from cash and leave their growth assets alone to recover. This is called a cash buffer strategy. It's simple but effective. You also need to think about your asset allocation. How much in shares? How much in bonds? How much in cash? When you're young and working, you can take more risk. You have time to recover from losses. But in retirement, you don't have decades. You need income now. So most advisors recommend a more conservative mix, maybe 50 or 60% in growth assets like shares, the rest in defensive assets like bonds and cash. This smooths out the volatility. You won't get the huge gains, but you won't get the huge losses either. Let me introduce you to a couple, Bruce and Jenny. They're not real, but they could be. They're both 65. They've just retired. Bruce worked as a plumber. Jenny was a school teacher. Together, they've saved $700,000 in superannuation. They own their home outright, no mortgage. They want to travel a bit, visit the grandkids in Brisbane, maybe take a trip to New Zealand. But mostly, they just want a comfortable, stress-free retirement.
They don't need to be wealthy, they just need to know the money will last. Bruce and Jenny sit down with a financial advisor. The advisor explains their options. They could put all $700,000 into an account-based pension, draw the minimum 5% per year. That's $35,000. Plus, they'd likely qualify for a part-age pension from Centrelink. Together, they'd have around $50,000 to $55,000 a year. That's enough. They could live on that. But Bruce is worried. What if the market crashes? What if they need that money in 10 years and it's not there? So the advisor suggests a hybrid approach. They take $300,000 and buy a lifetime annuity, indexed for inflation. This gives them about $14,000 a year to start, guaranteed for life. It's not a lot, but it's a floor. It covers the basics: power bills, rates, food. No matter what happens, they have that income. The remaining $400,000 goes into an account-based pension, invested in a balanced portfolio, 60% growth assets, 40% defensive. They draw 5% from this. That's $20,000 a year. Plus the $14,000 from the annuity, that's $34,000. And they'll still qualify for a part-age pension because a big chunk of their wealth is tied up in the annuity, which is assessed favorably. So they get maybe another $12,000 to $15,000 from Centrelink. Total income, close to $50,000 a year. Here's what this structure gives them: certainty. They know $14,000 is coming every year no matter what. Flexibility. They have $400,000 they can access if needed. Growth potential. That $400,000 is still invested, still earning returns, still tax-free. And age pension eligibility. The annuity helps them qualify. But what about the downsides? Well, they've given up control of $300,000. If Bruce passes away early, Jenny gets the income. But if they both pass away within a few years, that $300,000 doesn't go to their kids. The insurance company keeps it. That bothers them a bit. They wanted to leave something behind. So they decide to keep a bit more in the account-based pension. $250,000 in the annuity, $450,000 in the pension. This way, there's more to pass on. You see, there's no perfect answer. It's about trade-offs. It's about what keeps you awake at night. For Bruce and Jenny, having some guaranteed income gives them peace of mind. But they also want flexibility, so they split the difference. Now let's imagine another couple, not Bruce and Jenny. Let's call them Margaret and Tom. Margaret is 70, Tom is 72. They have $400,000 in super. Tom has some health issues. He's had a heart attack. Margaret is fit and healthy. Her mom lived to 96. Tom's family history isn't as good. His dad passed at 73. Their financial advisor suggests an annuity, but Tom isn't keen. He says, if I die next year, we've just handed all that money to an insurance company. He's right, that's a risk. So instead, they put the full $400,000 into an account-based pension. Conservative allocation, 70% defensive, 30% growth. They draw 6% per year, that's $24,000, plus they get a part-age pension. They're comfortable. Tom passes away 5 years later. It's sad, but Margaret is financially secure. She inherits the remaining super. About $320,000 after 5 years of drawdowns and modest growth. She rolls it into her own account-based pension. She has enough to live on, and when she eventually passes, what's left goes to their children. If they'd bought an annuity, that money would have vanished. So you can see the right choice depends on your circumstances, your health, your family, your goals, your risk tolerance. Let me summarize the pros and cons of each option. Let's start with annuities. Pros of annuities: guaranteed income for life, protection from longevity risk, favorable age pension treatment, peace of mind, no need to worry about market crashes, no need to manage investments. Cons of annuities: loss of capital control, money is locked away, inflation risk if you choose a fixed annuity,
lower starting income if you choose an indexed annuity, no inheritance if you die early unless you've paid extra for a reversionary option, and returns are generally lower than what you might achieve with a well-managed investment portfolio over the long term. Now let's look at account-based pensions. Pros of account-based pensions: full control over your money, flexibility to adjust income as needed, access to lump sums for emergencies, tax-free investment earnings, potential for higher returns if markets perform well, capital preserved for beneficiaries when you die. Cons of account-based pensions: market risk, your balance can fall; longevity risk, you could run out of money if you live a long time; requires active management and discipline; sequencing risk, bad returns early in retirement can be devastating; no guaranteed income, you have to manage your own drawdowns. So which is better? Neither. Both. It depends. Here's my advice. If you value certainty above all else, if the thought of losing money in the market keeps you awake at night, if you have no one to leave money to, then an annuity might suit you, especially if you're in good health and expect to live a long time. If you value flexibility, if you want to control your money, if you want to leave an inheritance, if you're comfortable with some investment risk, then an account-based pension is probably better. But for many people, the best answer is a combination, a bit of both. Use an annuity to cover your essential expenses: power, rates, food, insurance, the non-negotiables. That guaranteed income gives you a floor. Then use an account-based pension for the rest, the discretionary spending, travel, gifts, treats. This way you have security and flexibility. There's a term for this. It's called a bucketing strategy. You split your money into different buckets. Bucket 1 is for essentials, that's your annuity, or maybe just cash and bonds. Bucket 2 is for lifestyle, that's your account-based pension, moderate risk. Bucket 3, if you have it, is for legacy, money you don't need to touch, higher risk, longer time frame. This approach helps you sleep at night, because even if Bucket 3 loses value, you're still okay. Bucket 1 is safe. Now let's talk about practical steps you can take today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Step 1. Get clear on your expenses. Sit down with a pen and paper, or a spreadsheet if you prefer. Write down everything you spend, every bill, every subscription, every grocery shop. Everything. Then divide it into two categories: essential and discretionary. Essential is the stuff you must pay: mortgage or rent if you still have it, rates, insurance, food, medicine. Discretionary is everything else: eating out, holidays, gifts, hobbies. This exercise is crucial because once you know your essential expenses, you know how much guaranteed income you need, and that tells you whether an annuity makes sense. Step 2. Check your super balance. Log into your super fund. Look at the number. Is it what you thought? Is it more? Is it less? And look at how it's invested. Are you in a high-growth option, a balanced option, a conservative option? Does that match your risk tolerance? If you're retiring in the next year or two, you probably shouldn't be in a high-growth option. Too much risk. Consider moving to a more conservative option. Talk to your super fund. They can help. Step 3. Estimate your age pension entitlement. Go to the Services Australia website. They have calculators. Or speak to Centrelink directly. You need to know if you'll get a full age pension, a part age pension, or no age pension. This makes a big difference to your planning. If you're entitled to a full age pension, you might not need an annuity at all. The age pension is essentially a government-provided annuity. It's indexed. It's guaranteed. It's not much, but it's something. If you're not entitled to any age pension because you have too many assets, then you're relying entirely on your super. That changes the equation. Step 4. Speak to a financial advisor.
I know, you've heard stories. Some advisors charge too much, some give bad advice, but a good advisor is worth their weight in gold. They can model different scenarios for you. They can show you what happens if you buy an annuity versus if you don't. They can stress test your plan. What if you live to 100? What if the market crashes? What if inflation runs hot for a decade? A good advisor helps you see the possibilities, and they can help you implement the strategy. They can recommend specific products, specific super funds, specific annuities. Yes, advice costs money, but not having advice can cost you more. Make sure the advisor is licensed. Check the ASIC register. Make sure they're independent, or at least that they disclose any commissions or conflicts. Ask them how they're paid. If they're getting a big commission for selling you a particular annuity, that's a red flag. You want someone who's acting in your best interest. Step 5. Don't rush. This is a big decision. You don't have to choose the moment you retire. You can start with an account-based pension and add an annuity later, or vice versa. You can test the waters, see how you feel, see how the markets behave. Give yourself permission to take your time. Some people feel pressure to lock everything in on day one. You don't have to. It's okay to move gradually. Step 6. Review regularly. Retirement isn't static. Your needs will change. Your health will change. The economy will change. What works today might not work in 5 years. So set a reminder. Every year, sit down and review. How's the account-based pension performing? Are you drawing too much? Too little? Is the annuity keeping up with inflation? Do you need to adjust? Think of it like a car service. Regular maintenance keeps things running smoothly. Step 7. Talk to your partner, if you have one. This decision affects both of you. You need to be on the same page. If one of you wants security and the other wants flexibility, you need to talk it through. Find a compromise. Maybe you each get to allocate part of the super your way. Maybe you agree to review in 2 years. But don't let this become a source of conflict. You're meant to be enjoying retirement together. Step 8. Think about your legacy. What do you want to leave behind? If leaving money to your kids is important, then locking it all up in an annuity might not be the right move. But if you don't have kids, or if your kids are financially secure, then maybe you prioritize your own security. There's no right or wrong answer. It's your money. You earned it. You get to decide what matters. Step 9. Consider your health. Be honest with yourself. Are you in good health? Is your family long-lived? If yes, longevity risk is real for you. An annuity makes more sense. But if you have health issues, if your family history suggests a shorter lifespan, then locking money away in an annuity might not be wise. This is an uncomfortable conversation. None of us like to think about our mortality, but it matters. It affects the math. Step 10. Don't forget about aged care. One day you might need it. Aged care is expensive in Australia, very expensive. If you put all your money into an annuity and then need to move into a nursing home, you won't have access to capital for the accommodation bond. You'll be relying on whatever sales proceeds you get from your home if you own one. So keep some liquidity. Keep some funds accessible. This is another reason why a hybrid approach often makes sense. Now, let's bring this to a close. I want to talk about something bigger than annuities and pensions. I want to talk about life, about this incredible stage you're entering. Some people call it the third act. The first act was childhood and education. The second act was career and family. And now, the third act. This is your time.
You've worked hard. You've raised children, you've paid off the house, you've ticked the boxes. And now, finally, you get to choose. What do you want to do with your time? Who do you want to spend it with? What brings you joy? Money is important. Of course it is. Money gives you options. It gives you security. And that's why we've spent this time talking about annuities and account-based pensions. Because getting your retirement income right means you can relax. You can stop worrying. You can stop lying awake doing the math. You can trust that the money will be there. But here's the truth. The best retirement isn't the one with the biggest super balance. It's the one where you wake up each day with purpose, with connection, with meaning. Maybe that's volunteering. Maybe it's spending time with grandchildren. Maybe it's finally writing that book. Maybe it's just sitting on the porch with a cup of tea and watching the birds. Whatever it is, that's what matters. I've worked with hundreds of retirees over the years. The happiest ones aren't the richest. They're the ones who have enough. Enough money, enough health, enough love, enough purpose. They've figured out what enough looks like for them, and they've built their financial plan around that. So yes, think carefully about annuities and account-based pensions. Get advice, run the numbers, make a plan. But don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't get so caught up in optimizing every dollar that you forget to live. You could have the most perfectly structured retirement income stream in the country, but if you're too scared to spend any of it, what's the point? I give you permission to enjoy your money. You earned it. You saved it. You were responsible. Now use it. Take that trip. Buy that thing. Spoil the grandkids. Give to that charity. Live. And remember, retirement is long. If you retire at 65, you could have 25 or 30 years ahead of you. That's a long time. Longer than your entire childhood and adolescence. Longer than many careers. Don't think of it as the end. Think of it as a new chapter. A chapter where you get to write the story. There will be challenges, of course there will. Health issues, loss, change. But there will also be beauty, sunrises, laughter, quiet moments, memories. And through it all, if you've set up your finances properly, you'll have one less thing to worry about. So here's what I want you to do. Take a breath. You've learned a lot today. You understand what an annuity is. You understand what an account-based pension is. You know the pros and cons. You know it's not an all-or-nothing choice. You know that a combination might work best. And you know the steps to take next. Now, take action. Don't let this information sit unused. Book that appointment with a financial advisor. Log in to your super. Have that conversation with your partner. Start planning. Because the sooner you get clarity, the sooner you can relax. And relaxing is what retirement is all about. Before I go, let me remind you one final time. Everything I've shared today is general information only. It is not personal financial advice. Your circumstances are unique. Your goals are unique. What works for Bruce and Jenny might not work for you. What works for Margaret and Tom might not work for you. Always, always, always seek professional advice before making any financial decisions. You've got this. You're more capable than you think. You're more prepared than you feel. And you're not alone. Thousands of Australians are navigating this exact same journey. You're part of a generation that's redefining what retirement looks like, and I have no doubt that you'll figure it out. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope it's been helpful. I hope you feel a little less anxious and a little more confident. Now go and enjoy the third act. You've earned it.